Okay, so next up we're going to have a panel discussion on the Basque country and the gaming industry. So I'd like to invite the panelists to come up. We have Raul Otaoela, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Basque Game. We also have John Bolduan from Gestionet and Komair from Digipen Europe. So if those guys can come up for the panel discussion, if they're here. Okay, yeah, you guys. Yeah. So the format is we're going to ask each of you to speak for 10 minutes, and then we'll have a panel discussion for about 15 minutes. So I guess we're going to start up with Raul.
Yes? Okay. Arratsaldeon. Unfortunately, I'm going to speak in English. Sorry about that. You will suffer my horrible English. Okay, today I am here representing Basque Game. Basque Game is the Basque Association of the video game companies. The idea is to give a short description of our goals and objectives. We are a very new association, just 1 year old, and officially and legally only 2 months ago. But we don't have figures from Basque country yet. Hopefully next year we will share with you accurate numbers about Basque country, but just to give a general idea about the game industry in Spain, here we have a few but very representative numbers. In Spain we are quite big, you know, a lot of people, 47 million people, with 24 million active internet population. It's the range is from 10 years old to 65 years old. And this is the most important number. There are 15 million active gamers in Spain, and almost half of them spend money in games. This is also a segmentation of the game industry. We have here several types of games. The traditional game industry concentrated in console games and PC Mac box. Box is the distributed using DVD and physical DVD and CD. The sum of these are almost the half of the market. But we can see here that social networks, mainly Facebook, but also casual games and mobile devices and MMO games are becoming more and more important in the industry. And for me, the most important number is also the one in the bottom. We are 1,600 million euros only in Spain. And this is another point of view of the industry. The winners here are also the casual games in the casual websites, the social networks, and MMO games. So, what we have in Basque country? The game studios here are quite small. There are micro companies or SMEs starting from 2 people to 30 people. But we also have companies, also more association, not focused only in games, but also in audiovisual especially in TV, and companies about telecommunication and software clusters. And the two main roles are Gaia and Aiken. We have also a very big company in Spain called Bosento, specialized in media. Also specialized training, we are very proud to have Digipen here in Basque Country, but also two other universities, like the public one, UPB and Deusto University. Also research and innovation, like Tecnalia. I work in Tecnalia, but today I wear the hat of Basque Game. Tecnalia is also a large company. We are about 1,500 people working in research, not only in games, but in a lot of sectors like automotive, health, and construction. And also we are having more and more events, first locally, but also international events like this one, like Nonick. And for me, this is the most important slide of all the presentation. This is the value chain we have in Basque Country. And this is, I think, quite different from any other value chains in Europe. So, because there are a representation of all of the stakeholders that create value in the value chain. We have education, we have the technology, we have the game studios, we have several associations, and we have more and more events, like Nonick, Oplay, Gamerland, Bilbao Web Summit, more and more. And also a very important and critical role, this is the public administration that support all of the other stakeholders. I'm going very fast here. We have very concrete goals, 7 goals. Everything here is also in our website. You will see after this presentation. I'm going to read the first one because I think it's one of the more important. I'm going to be very accurate, so I'm going to read it. Represent the economic, cultural, social, and professional interest of Basque companies participating in the value chain of the game in its different applications with a representative organization and forums. Also promote and defend the talent. I think that we have a lot of talent here in Basque Country. There are also more talent coming from, especially from Digipen, but also from very small companies, new startups. Favor contact between the companies. This is also a very important and critical thing. We want to put in touch all the stakeholders, all the companies, so they can share their strategies and roadmaps. Help internationalization of companies. Okay, game industry is something global, it's a global business, so internationalization is also a big issue here. Be an innovative and cultural interest industry tractor. Okay, when we are talking about game industry, we are also talking about technology coming from game industry that can be applied in several areas like engineering, architecture, also in fashion, in automotion. Okay. We want also to be a reference in Spain, maybe later in Europe, but our goal for this year and the next year is going to be a reference in Spain. And of course, disseminate and promote any knowledge coming from the products and services around the games. Okay, this is our goals, and we have a very concrete plan from this year, based in 3 main points: training, internationalization, and cooperation. In training, we are going to elaborate, the idea is to align the needs coming from the game studios with the training that students are learning in the universities. This is, I think, very important because we want the students to create value in the companies from the first day. So this alignment is quite important. Also promote several courses during the year for students. From the point of view of internationalization, we are participating in a lot of events like this one, but also events not only in Basque Country, but also in Spain, and probably in several European conferences also. And of course, help partners companies to go abroad. Okay, there are companies very focusing, for example, in serious games with very concrete companies like public administration, especially in education. But there are also companies focusing in the entertainment, the traditional entertainment, and there are these companies are very focused in the global industry. And finally, the cooperation. Also, the cooperation is it's a pillar for us. So we want to promote meetings. So this is in our daily schedule, promoting meetings between all the companies, members in the Basque game. Also organize meetings, list of notice and grants that involve or promote cooperation. Every opportunity to cooperate, to be international, to get funding, to research coming from any research program from public authorities. We notice, we send emails about everything happening in this way. Presentation in meetings to evangelize on the usefulness and potential video games applied to other sectors is what I have said before, and foster relation encounters. Okay. And activities. This is quite boring, sorry about that, but I think we are, as association, want to promote the relationship between all the stakeholders. So our activities, of course, exchange experiences, promote partners and industry in general, encourage development, provide value to concept of video game of everything. Okay, this is very important because when we are talking about game industry, we are not only talking about game companies, but also about music, engineering, art. Okay. This also promote and publish the reports and studies of the issues, like the ones about Spain, but we are working to do only in the Basque Country area, and promote actions and that encourage formation and about its partners. So nowadays we are 24 partners. So please, if any company here in the audience is not present in this list, please contact us because we can help you in a lot of ways. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
No, the microphone's
Hello.
there.
First of all, let me say thank you for being here. It's the first time I'm on the stage, and it's pretty impressive. It's a very nice stage in a very nice building. So thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to me. My name is Thomas Komair. I am a teacher here at Digipen Bilbao, and I don't have a presentation. I'm sorry about that. However, I'd like to take a moment and introduce Digipen to you. So, first of all, actually, I would like to talk about PewDiePie. I don't see him here, but his presentation was pretty inspiring. And there's something to note in what he said, is that he was studying industrial economy, but out of his passion, he decided to take on a full-time job that has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with whatever he was studying. So what I really want to emphasize here is the passion. The passion. Video games are, before anything, about passion. It is about people getting together or alone and enjoying an experience. So what is it that we do? As you can see, I'm pretty young, I'm 23, and the video game industry is also pretty young. Comparatively, we could compare it with the movie industry, the film business. And the film business is actually pretty old compared to the video game industry, which is about 30 to 40 years old. So Digipen has been here for a long time. we started, just a brief history, Digipen started in Vancouver, Canada in 1988. That was when I was born. To tell you, to give you kind of the brief history of how we developed, we started in Vancouver, and in 1990 we moved in Redmond, USA, close to Microsoft. And at the time, there was about 3 or 4 game companies in Redmond. 10 years later, there was 296 game companies in the Seattle area alone. So, is a success attributed to us? This is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the game industry is growing, and it's growing fast. Why is it growing? It's growing because it involves so many things. It involves programming. Of course, I'm an engineer, by the way, so that's the first thing I'm going to say is programming. But it involves creativity. It involves music. It involves, nowadays, film directors. It involves screenwriters. It involves pretty much all the disciplines of entertainment. Combine them together to give an experience. For example, try to think of one day where you sat in front of the TV and decided to watch 9 hours of a movie straight. Who has done that here? I did. Me too. All right, cool. All right, I understand you, but not everybody does it. Who has sat down 9 hours in front of a game? All right, point proven. Cool. So, of course, I don't have to prove to you or convince you that the video game industry is an industry that is worth looking into. Digipen trains video game developers. Digipen, the Redmond campus in the United States, offers 6 different degrees in all aspects of video game development. We offer degrees in real-time interactive simulation, which is a fancy name for games. We offer degrees in fine arts, because we need artists. We offer degrees in engineering for people who build the machines. We also offer degrees in sound design. We offer degrees in game design, because all of these disciplines get together and make a game. This year, in September, we opened our first campus here in Bilbao. And this is about the game industry in the Basque country, so I will talk a bit about what we've been doing. We are currently located in Cjellberg, which is about 25 minutes away from Bilbao. And the experience was, for me, very, very enlightening, because, like I said, it was the first time I taught, and seeing the creativity that was here in the Basque country, people wanting to make games. 15 million gamers are in Spain. How many of those in the Basque country? I hope Raul will give us the number soon. But for what I've seen, we're making amazing games. And I invite all of you to come and visit to see the games that we are making. And so what degrees do we offer here in Bilbao? We offer degrees in real-time interactive simulation. I'm going to repeat that a couple times during the presentation. But basically, this is the science side. Games are programs, so we need to teach people how to program. But games also are here to simulate a world that you create, a world that you fake and present to your players. Of course, we cannot simulate every single thing in the world. We cannot simulate every particle, every atom of every actor or player in the game. So there's a lot of cutbacks, a lot of shortcuts, using intense math, physics, logic. We have lots of courses on graphics, because let's face it, when things look good, we're happy. So what are the classes that we do? And we teach a 4-year degree, so it's a serious thing. When I'm approached by parents, they're usually not convinced. They come and ask to me, so what is it that you do? Is my son or daughter going to just play for 4 years, play video games, and hopefully they'll make it? In fact, I'm actually a student from Digipen. I graduated in 2010. And I play very little games. In fact, I used to play a lot of games, but when I came to Digipen, I realized that, oh my, this is difficult. And you guys know that when you make a game, it's all on you. You really have to create that world, and you have to make it believable. There's this thing that we talk about when we make games, is the suspension of disbelief. Anything that goes wrong, even though you have 99% of your game that works, you have that 1 little percent, that one single character that goes through the wall, whoa, and you're gone. You do not pay attention to that game anymore. It's true. One of my teachers, when we were explaining the suspension of disbelief, one of his analogies was a telephone. So he would take a telephone, but at the time, telephones didn't have one button. But at the time, telephones had keypads. So it does everything. It plays videos, it plays music, you can call, optionally also. But one of the buttons is not there. One of the buttons is not there. Here, this is $100. Buy it. You're going to look at me. I'm sorry, it's so cool, but it doesn't have a button. I don't want it. Games are in the same way. Everything must fit together perfectly to sell that illusion. So games are fun to play and record yourself screaming, of course, but they're hard to make. And this is a serious degree, and this is why we emphasize so much on science subjects that at first you would not think about. One of the most difficult area of simulation is physics, being able to tell the objects in your world. Because in the real world, an object, if you put it on the table, well, then it stays here. It does it by itself. In a game, you have to tell every object what they do. So it's the same for physics. It's the same for graphics. It's the same for everything. AI is difficult. One thing that is difficult to sell nowadays is actually the animation. Take Skyrim, for example. It's a beautiful game. I love it. And I'm not here to diss Skyrim. This is not my job. This is an explanation of suspension of disbelief. But as soon as you start talking to those characters and their faces are not moving, they're not true, you can tell right away that this is not a human being. But we're getting there. We are getting there. The technology is here, and we're developing it so that the next generation of entertainment is about you playing with people that are not people, but look like people. But for that, you need artists. For that, you need people who know the anatomy of a person. You need people who know the anatomy of a horse. Did you know that if you wanted to make the running cycle or the galloping cycle of a horse, if you timed it to a T, it would not be believable. It is too perfect. People can tell right away when a horse running in an animation is real or not. Just on the animation. I'm not talking about the reality of the graphics. I'm talking about the animation itself. So there is this little artistic sparkle that you need to add. Artistic touch. But for that, you need to train. You need to draw for 2 years. The Digipen BFA program, which is the Bachelor's of Fine Arts, does not touch computers for the first 2 years. For the first 2 years, you do everything by hand. We want to guarantee that there is a connection from your brain to your hand. And that connection, you cannot get it unless you just do it on paper 200, 300, 1,000 times. So we do that for 2 years, and then we start CG. We start 2D, we start 3D, and the students cooperate with the programmers, the real-time interactive simulation students, to make game. So let me go back to the real-time degree, because this is what I teach. I'm actually in charge of the game classes at Digipen. And we have 5 game classes at Digipen. So when the students come in, we assume that they do not know anything. So because they do not know anything, we cannot ask them to program a game when they start. But we do want them to understand that making a game is not just about having the knowledge and applying it. A lot of things can go wrong. You can fight with your teammates. You can think your idea is good, but it turns out it's not. So you have to change everything at the last minute. So those are the things that you only learn by doing. Digipen is a school where you do a lot of things, right? You take your sleeves up and you put your hand in the machine and you fix it. That's how we do things. So students do the first game as soon as they enter the school. They do their first game. Of course, they use an engine that we developed, a 2D game engine that we developed called the Project Fun Editor, and they make a 2D game. The next semester, they start their second game, and they make a game with their own engine that they build in their other science classes. So they take a CS class, whatever topic they learn over there, they have to incorporate it into their engine. The second year, we take it a little bit longer. For 2 semesters, they will be making a game, again, a 2D game. But this one has to be more ambitious. I wish I had video games to show you, but all our games are downloadable for free on our website. And on the 3rd year, we start 3D. On the 3rd year, we start 3D. Keep in mind that all the games they've made before, they did in teams of 5 or 6 people. And in the 3rd year, they actually start merging with the artists. And now the team gets bigger. We're talking about students who are managing themselves. We do not manage the students. We make sure they stay on track, but if we see that they're going to hit a wall, we do not necessarily grab them. We say, fine, my advice is for you to do this. However, you have total freedom, because we give value in failure. Digipen is where you fail. You have 5 games to fail. After that, you start the real world. And in the real world, you should not fail. And this is what we emphasize. We really want our students to start as professionals. Now, I'm not saying you learn everything there is to learn in the game industry, in the game development business. That's not true. There are many, many, many areas of the game business that we do not cover. We do not cover social gaming. We do not develop apps for the iPhone. We do on occasion, mostly in the US, we do develop games, or our students develop games for the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo Wii, and the Apple iPhone, and our own machines that the engineering students make. But mostly we make real-time software, video games that are played on the PC. That is what we deal in. Our philosophy is that once you have done so much, and it's been proven that you can take a Digipen student and pretty much drop him anywhere, and he or she will adapt. So we are very proud of our students, and we take care of them a lot. Just to talk numbers, and I'm not the number guy, I'm mostly the teacher, but just to talk numbers, in the US, we haven't graduated students yet. In the US, 75%, if not more, actually 75 in the BFA, 86% in the RTIS graduate have a job as soon as they get out. They have a job before they graduate. They go into take an internship because they can replace internship with games, game classes, and they graduate. So this just goes to show that games are now here and they're here to stay. And our job is to make sure that this industry stays as solid, as creative, and as interesting and moving forward. And this is our mission, training the young minds of the future. So this is what we're hoping to do in the Basque Country, and we're very happy to be here. And I guess that's all I have to say. I'm a teacher, so I could talk forever. So I'm just gonna stop now. And I'm sorry I couldn't cover everything I wanted to cover. Like I said, it's very, it's the first time I'm in a stage, so I'm a bit embarrassed. But if you have any questions, unless we need to do another presentation, then we'll take the questions. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Arratsaldeon guztiori. My name is John Bolduan. I'm here speaking on behalf of the company Gestionet. My intention right now is to give you a good, clear idea of what we do and maybe some of how we do it. First of all, I have a question. One of the things that we work with a lot are serious games. How many of you have ever played serious games? Okay, how many of you know what they are? Okay, I see more hands. Okay, thank you. Well, if you don't know what serious games are supposed to be games that have a purpose other than entertainment. So basically the idea is that you can get something out of it. You can transmit content or values, perhaps to use as an educational resource tool, or also as a form of training. Serious games are showing up a lot in schools as well as universities and lifelong learning programs or professional formation. So I guess I have a question that's even a little bit more specific. I never really knew that I had played serious games until I started working with them. And they had been kind of masked into my curriculum as I was growing up. Does anybody recognize the title Number Munchers? Anybody at all? Right here. One. Okay. Okay. I think we're not from the same year. So, but basically, to explain Number Munchers, you had a grid, and it would give you some kind of simple mathematical equation to solve, and you moved the little monster figure into that square, and you ate the number that was the correct answer. It's a really simple game mechanic, but it is a way to transmit math to students. I know that I had played other games for typing, so I had serious games and their initial stages, I think even on like the Apple IIgs, if anybody remembers that. May it rest in peace. Well, I noticed that I had grown up playing serious games, and that, you know, that I had actually learned and acquired a lot of knowledge through them, such as mathematics, typing, for example. I can still type, which is a benefit. But another application of serious games that I think is really interesting, I mean, we spoke about disabilities before. And serious games actually has a lot to do there. Okay, well, to go back a little bit, serious games is not a fun title. It's kind of unfortunate that it was christened as such, but I do want to point out that whenever we're talking about games, I think there's two types of motivation. One, to improve your score, or another one just to move forward while having fun. So I think just making any kind of game, the idea in the background is to have fun, is to turn something that's maybe not fun into something fun through gamification or serious games like we're talking about now, which is an excellent resource for e-learning, mobile learning, and transmitting content and values through a process. So, well, one thing that we were speaking about earlier that came to mind is a serious game called Remission, for example. And Remission, I think, is a wonderful title because it's basically a serious game that's been developed. It's basically 3D rendered, and you go around. Well, I'll tell you who it's for first. Remission is a game that was released as a serious game, but it's for children that have been diagnosed with cancer. And so one of the things that they do in the game is go around basically in a body which oftentimes they feel is their own, shooting cancer cells. And I mean, cancer is not a very fun subject, you know, nobody likes cancer, I don't think. But they did find a way to make a game out of it, which might even seem morbid. But in the end, it's something that gives a structure for the patient, in this case, to go around and fight, and like actually turning that into a real process, fighting against their disease. And so another thing too is that this mental process now, which it has become, like the visualization of your struggle, has had really, really beneficial results in the rate of survival of these cancer patients. And so I think we should take into account that serious games do have a very big role to play, above all in the future, because as far as like new digital technologies are more ever present in our daily lives, a really great example that I've been kind of surprised about is that we're at a conference of technology. Everybody has mobile devices. A lot of people are using them. I think here it's very acceptable. And please continue tweeting. But I haven't heard one cell phone ring at all. And a big round of applause for turning those off. Well, anyway, what do we do? So we know what serious games are. It's basically simulations of real processes as a means of acquiring new knowledge. So we work with serious games that are directed towards children, that are directed towards adults, and different titles that can be used to transmit values such as cultural heritage, language, math, a number of things. Because in the end, these things are important, and maybe our current model of education is not the correct one, not one that works for everybody, and not one that maybe engages some of its users and in the end loses a lot of them. We also work a lot with business simulations. Now, I think that's a pretty important thing for anybody that's trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to start their own company, is to actually have a chance to go through that whole process and especially to make your mistakes, but in the early stages, before you're up against that in the real world, and a mistake can either cost you a lot of money or your business. And so we do a lot of business simulations with that in mind, trying to mimic the operations of different sectors in the economy. One could be like a service industry, for example. And so you go through the steps of starting your company. You know, first of all, you as the entrepreneur, you go through your own training. You allot your time to fit into a reasonable schedule. And then you go about hiring staff, doing a viability plan or feasibility plan, and also hiring personnel and assigning hours and like numbers, looking at balance sheets, gains and losses, a lot of things that are really exciting in our daily lives. And, but one of the things that's really beneficial about this is that it is a process that maybe is not so innate to a lot of people. And getting the chance and opportunity to experience that in a virtual environment is really beneficial to make those mistakes in a no-risk environment. And so it's an excellent tool for anybody that's interested in pursuing business or starting their own career or their own company. I see a lot of people here too that work in small to medium-sized enterprises. And this is actually one of the places where I find that it's a really good idea to have a good global vision or an overview of what steps you have to take in order for your business to be successful in a competitive market. And so how do you structure this? Like, is it just a one-player game? No, normally we have markets that are made up of different teams competing against one another, which is actually one of the best ways to find out whether or not what you do will be successful related to what other people are doing. Basically your evaluation comes from information that is put into that. Like I said, my intention here is to be short and sweet. Brain block, sorry. In the end, well, I'm going to start ending this. First of all, I would like to thank everybody that's come up earlier. I really enjoyed a lot of the presentations that I've seen here today. I've learned a lot. And thank you all for listening, taking your time, and also for sharing your ideas today. I think that it's one thing that is always enriching. Just to give an example, they say, like, when one person has an apple and another person has an apple, you know, if you take one or give one away, there's still two apples. But when one person has an idea and another person has an idea, if you exchange those ideas, then both of those people walk away with more ideas. And that's kind of one of the things that these conferences help to do. So in closing, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to the organizers, to the presenters, and to everybody here in attendance today.
5 minutes for questions, so who would like to be the first? If not, while you guys are, oh, we have one over there.
Hello, this question is for Raul. Well, this is very loud, I had to put it 2 meters away from me. Raul, this association that is new, you say it's only 2 months old, is for only locally on the Basque country, or is for the whole Spain area?
Okay. Yes, it's only for companies based in Basque country. It's a Basque game. It's only for Basque companies.
So I'm going to take the chance to ask one question. Since the topic was Basque country in the way of the games industries, what does it take to create a blockbuster game, and can you do it from the Basque country or even from Spain? No.
To make a blockbuster game, that's a good question. And of course, to make a game, there isn't any magic recipe. If there was, then we wouldn't be here. But to make a game, you need first an idea. And you need to accept that this idea is going to change and is going to maybe get thrown away. Now, to make a blockbuster game, you need a lot of people. Or I guess my question would be to you, are you thinking of a AAA title, something that involves something in that would be a bit like all the console games that are developed, published on multiple platforms, etc., etc. So yeah, that will take a lot of people. Although nowadays we see that there's a huge rise in the independent community, and again, to compare it with the film industry, it's kind of like the new wave of video games. It is possible nowadays to make a game without 200 people on a payroll. It is possible, and does come from the passion that I was talking earlier. It does come from also technology being more available, engines that are nowadays affordable for smaller companies to use and make video games that are interesting and that can become blockbusters. I think Minecraft is one of the best examples for that, but there are many more examples. Also in the realm of less I would say pizzazz games. I'm sorry, I'm not a native English speaker, so sometimes finding the words for me is a bit hard, but Braid was a good example of that. I mean, it's a blockbuster in the sense that it's very successful. Now, does it have the smoke and mirrors that you would find in Battlefield 3 or, you know, on Batman Arkham City? Not necessarily, but it was very successful, right? And that's something that is a viable option, and it just came from an idea. So to make a blockbuster game, you need an idea. So to answer the next question, can we make blockbusters in the Basque country? Do the Basque have idea? Then I'm sure they do, I know they do. Then we can make games in the Basque country. Okay. Does anybody else wants to answer that?
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes?
Hello? No, right now. You were talking about the suspension of disbelief, that it's something that works on entertainment since time is time. And what do you think about the evolution of video games just the moment we reach the Uncanny Valley? You know what Uncanny Valley?
No, I do not know this game.
This is the moment where realism, it's so realistic that people doesn't suspend the disbelief. Okay. If not, they don't believe they don't believe this is a fantasy.
Okay, so I guess I'm just going to expand on what I said on suspension of disbelief, in the sense that it's just got to make sense. You know, suspension of disbelief works, but it's not limited to just being realistic. It's just limited to it fits. It's in the context. Many games are not realistic at all, but everything works. Everything is connected together. It's a nice, I would say, all the gears are in place to have the game that turns. So in my opinion, suspension of disbelief is just when something is out of place, you lose the attention or the involvement in the game. A good example for that would be, I'd say if you take a game, again, I'm going to quote Minecraft. Minecraft is not at all realistic. However, we have tons of people playing hours and hours in the game, right? But all of a sudden, you know, you would have pictures of little kitties that would just appear randomly in there. Well, you would lose your disbelief because that is out of context. Well, that is really what I mean. It's not about pure realism and reaching that barrier of having not being able to distinguish between realism or not. But that's another question. That's another question is, would you lose your suspension of disbelief if everything was too believable? Maybe, probably. Would you lose yourself in there? That's a good question too. However, we're not there yet, so I guess we'll see.
Thanks for the answer.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, it's okay. I only just want to know your opinion out. Thanks.
Cool. Anybody else?
Okay, well, if not, let's thank the panel for
Thank you very much.
discussion.